Hi, I'm Lucas Rogers and I'd like to welcome you along today to the Rogers Property Group. Today I'm going to be talking about a very interesting concept, and that is compound growth. If you're a property investor and you're looking at building a property portfolio, then you need to understand what compound growth is and how to access it via property. Compound growth is an amazing thing. Albert Einstein said that compound growth was actually the 8th wonder of the world, exponential growth. There's a lot of different stories and fables about how powerful it is, and I'll give you a little one today to demonstrate it. What would you rather? I can give you a suitcase with $1 million in it today that you can take away and go and spend, or I can give you 1 cent doubled every day for 65 days. What would you rather? Let me tell you this, take the 1 cent doubled every day for 65 days because it works out to be several $1 million. That's the power of compound growth. So how do we access this compound growth through property? Well, it's relatively simple. Let's have a look now. Okay, what we've got here is a graph of value versus time. Okay. The average growth rates on property are around 8 to 10% per annum. And you can check your historical records and that's about what it is. So 8 to 10% per annum. Okay, so what we're going to do with our property is we're going to get out there and buy an investment property. And we'll call that at year 0 because we always start at year 0. And that's our first one. Doesn't really matter what we're going to spend on that, but let's say it's close to the median house price or a bit below. Median house price is about $650 in Brisbane at the moment, so we'll spend say $550,000. Now, if I'm going to get my 8 to 10% in capital growth, then my property in 5 years' time should be worth around, say, $800,000. Okay, but let's just say that I don't. Let's just say that I make a few mistakes and I don't quite get the growth that I anticipate, and I only get, say, 5% in my property growth. Okay, well, my property here, it's not going to grow to $800,000, but it's still going to go to, say, $700,000. So what that now shows is that I've made $150,000 in capital growth from my property there. Can you see that? Now, what do I do with that? If I want to access compound growth, do I then go and sell this property, take my $150,000 out and go and buy a boat? No, that's not compound growth at all. Because what I want to do with my growth is I want to put my growth back into my portfolio and get growth on top of growth. It's like compound interest. You've probably heard of compound interest, interest on top of interest. Well, compound growth is the same thing. It's growth on top of growth. So with my $150,000, I'm 5 years down the track here. I've got my property number 1. And what I want to do is I draw out my $150,000 in growth and I use it as a deposit to get my second property. Now what's happened? I've got 2 properties growing in value for me and I'm getting growth on top of growth. 10 years down the track, I've got property 1, I've got property 2, and if they grow at approximately the same, I haven't made $150,000 now, I've made $300,000. So therefore, I can now get property number 3. 15 years down the track, I've got property 1, property 2, I'm getting growth on property 3. Let's say we make $150,000 out of each one of those. I've made $450,000 now. So you can see that this figure of growth continually expands over time and it's exponential. The graph really goes like this, up like that, exponential growth. And you don't have to get massive growth rates to be able to get compound growth. 5% will do it for you. Obviously better if we can get higher than that, but it's still going to work. The most important thing is with our compound growth is to give our property portfolio time to expand. Time to expand from a growth perspective and from a cash flow perspective as well, so we continually expand our portfolio and grow it. Don't be impatient when it comes to property. Let it take its time and you'll grow your portfolio And at the end of the day, a significant amount of wealth can be achieved just by using this very simple strategy of compound growth. I hope that's given you a little tip today on the access of compound growth and how important it is for property investors, and I hope you implement it into your portfolio. I look forward to talking with you soon.